All right. Yeah, it's running. Okay. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Climate Cafe Green Blue Online. I'm Sydney Sachs and I'm here with Floris Bogart. We're already doing this for many years, over 5 years. We're having this Climate Cafe to talk about green blue subjects like bioswales, floating cities, infiltration pavement, sometimes just rivers that go right through the city, solar panels. Last time we had something about combustion of biogas. It goes many ways, but it's always something about sustainability and preferably about green blue infrastructure. And I think we have a nice topic on that today again. And Floris can say a little bit about that.
Exactly, because we don't see Bara yet, but I was the supervisor of Bara in a lovely research about climate adaptation in many cities. And of course, we all know it's going sky high. But as the title now shows, is it strategic or fair? So I'm not going to tell about the research, of course. That's what you're going to do, Bara. So we're quite excited. I already announced it to some of the municipalities, Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and Utrecht. So who is the best climate adaptation city if we look at strategic or fair? Can you enlighten us with your knowledge, Bara, on this topic?
Your microphone and your camera are still off.
Yeah, still muted. That might be because of I started the recording. Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. So thank you for the introduction. Let me speak about myself first. My name is Bara Alrefai. I was a master's student in Utrecht University under the supervision of Martijn Cullen and Dr. Martijn Cullen and Dr. Floris Bogart. And yeah, it was really an interesting topic to me because it provide me the view and the depth in the view about how we can, for example, implement or what is the sequence of implementation of green natural-based solution in Dutch city, which is alternative to the gray solutions. But the topic itself, it was interesting because also it show we are focusing not only about the strategic part, which is I think a lot of people study it very well in Europe in general, not in the Netherlands, but about the fairness of it. The fairness part is a bit tricky, and it is not the part that can be easily tackles. It was challenging to me because I always focus on technical things. So because of that, I find it really a unique research. And in my research, as you introduce, I have focused on Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and Utrecht. I don't know if the slide is changing.
No, it's not.
Not changing.
Oh,
No.
now it's changing.
Yeah,
So I think it's a bit of a delay or something.
Okay. So let me just provide the broad context to the people who are listening. So we have there is ongoing the rapid urbanization and climate change have increased urban flooding and heat stress while diminishing biodiversity in our cities in general. And Dutch municipalities are implementing NbS such as green roof, rain gardens, and bioswales in different parts of the city. And these are used generally for as an element for cooling and water management. And the solution are supported by major EU frameworks such as the biodiversity strategy for 2030 and also Dutch national program like Delta program for spatial adaptation. But there is a limitation in the current implementation, which is ad hoc planning. Which mean basically that we are currently in Europe, like and also from literature review that are currently opportunistic and that means it's occur during temporary opportunity, like when we have a sewer repair, for example, or there is other infrastructure project. Then there is an opportunity to implement NbS. and that would create social inequality actually, because or when we build a new neighborhood, or we build a new area, these together create social inequality, because it will be these solutions will be localized in a wealthier area, or the area that attract investment. And this could lead to the green gentrification also in its role, because this means actually that's the green project unintentionally rise property values and potentially displace the low-income resident that they were intended to help in the first place, because they have lower climate resilience capacity compared to the people that have higher income. So basically, we have ad hoc implementation with strategic misalignment in general and social inequality in Europe, and that lead to our knowledge gap, which is lack of empirical evidence.
We have the next slide already.
Yes.
We're not seeing it. We're seeing slide 2 still with the introduction.
I should click on it.
Now it shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you click, it should be fine. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, can I?
Yeah, this probably works better.
Yes. Okay. So we don't have, as I said before, we don't have an empirical evidence that what's going on in Europe actually occur in the same pattern in the Netherlands. That's why I actually did the research because the literature was not enough and doesn't show a specific case in the Netherlands. So natural-based solution, or what we call what other called in United States, for example, green infrastructure, or blue-green infrastructure, or water sensitivity infrastructure in Australia, or eco-hydraulical solution, or sponge city in China. We all talking about natural-based solution are methods that solutions that are inspired and supported by nature, which are cost-effective, simultaneously provide environmental, social, and economical benefit, and help build resilience. For my study, I create just I add a little bit to this definition, that I define it as the physical movable assets that are either municipally planned or municipally incentives, because this is the area that I will focus on. I will not focus about the natural-based solution, any other natural-based solution that are not done or incentive by municipalities. So let's go back to the problem definition and the knowledge gap. So there is, as I said before, there is a lack of comprehensive spatial analysis on where NbS in the Netherlands are distributed, and are the distribution equally and strategically or not. And with equity, we are talking about social economical status for the different neighborhoods within each cities. And with strategically, we are talking about if it's in the right place, where there is the highest potential pluvial floods and higher heat stress. So most existing studies focus on technical performance rather than broad socio-economical alignment with the vulnerability and social-economical status. And I will not focus on all natural-based solutions. I will just focus on the main types that I found in the ClimateScan platform, which are green roof, water square permeable pavement, bioswales, and water retention wetlands. So my research goal was assessing the strategical alignment, assessing the equity, and identifying the priority area to have an implementation part from my research. And my main research question was, to what extent is the current distribution of NbS in Dutch city aligned with the neighborhood level, climate vulnerability, and SES? And I divide this question to three main sub-questions to be able to answer completely and fully to the main questions. So what is the spatial distribution of first of the NbS across urban neighborhood, and how does the NbS provision correlate with the SES and climate vulnerability? Which city demonstrate the strongest and most balanced NbS coverage?
Got a question. The SES, where does it stand for?
Social economical status.
Oh, yeah, that was right. Yeah, right.
And to do so, I follow analytical framework. First, there is the data preparation where I should gather the data. And then after I gather the data, I should have construct variables to be able to answer the sub-question one. So where is the NbS actually in our cities? And then I did initial strategy and equity analysis, which basically test alignment with NbS distribution with social and economical variable, but in general, not I didn't differentiate between NbS, that the one that has more effective because NbS are not equal. Some are more effective to deal with heat stress, and other are more effective to deal with pluvial floods. Then I make a focus specific analysis, function specific analysis, to focus more on the to give I give weights to the NbS to just distinguish between NbS types. And then at the end, I create a priority index to create then a priority mapping to see, okay, what we should do, how we're gonna start, where the investment should go. So the data preparation, part of it is to decide the spatial units. And actually, I found that using BERT as our neighborhoods is really the right spatial units to choose, because I used also BERT and VIKE to compare, because to overcome the spatial units problems, which is like someone would say, okay, if this is because you choose this spatial units, you have this results. So if you change the spatial units, I will have different results. So to be able to compare and make do a type of sensitivity analysis, and to make the data result more generalized and more valid and more defensible, I choose two main spatial units, which is as I said earlier, BERT and VIKES. I use also different type of NbS inventory. I will introduce them later to measure different things, because I would like to be holistic as possible. And then the next stage is to construction, which include NbS provision indicator as a dependent variables, SES index and the climate vulnerability as independent variables. The third stage is the initial strategic and equity analysis, where I use a correlation and ordinary least square and quantile regression to compare my result and come up with a valid based on the statistical knowledge and based on the numerical numbers that I obtain from these methods. Lastly, I create function-specific analysis, which I use the weights, and the weights I take them from literature review from a PhD study. And I used also statistical modeling using R. Then lastly, I create the priority using the priority index using social economical needs, which is inverse of social economical status, one minus social economic status, climate vulnerability, and NbS deficiency, which I will explain later in my presentation. So NbS provisions indicators consist of three main indicators: total NbS area, which will measure the absolute investment NbS per capita will measure the accessibility, so accessibility from to handle more fairly the equity aspect. And NbS density is the spatial intensity measure. Will measure the spatial intensity. So let me just say like total area. So I will just add the area in certain neighborhoods together. NbS, I will divide NbS per capita. I will divide this area by a population in this board to kind of normalize it. And NbS density, I will divide it by the total area of the board, so make the board comparable. And then I will provide weights, as I said, for NbS scores. And then we already talked about SES index and climate vulnerability index. Climate vulnerability index actually it combine heat exposure and pluvial floods. So priority index actually consists of, as I said before, from social economical needs, which is the inverse of social economical index, climate vulnerability neighborhood, which is neighborhood exposed exposure of the neighborhood to the heat and flood risk, and NbS deficiency, which is the gap between current provisions and adequate benchmark, which is I choose it to be 95th percentile of the data because they are the 5% of the data has enough NbS, and the others have less than enough. So I will just make like 1 minus the NbS needs, NbS index, yeah. And now and then to create per cities, not per port, I will divide by the number of boards. Like I will make the average the index. So the result, one of the results that we have, that for example we see that Amsterdam perform better than Rotterdam and Utrecht perform better than Rotterdam, but not like quietly the difference is huge. But we are talking about the index, like it's 0.75 and 0.62 and 0.6 for Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and Utrecht. And this show actually that, for example, that small project in Amsterdam are more effective than big project like that used that based on Rotterdam, for example. That's the thing that I have, one of the conclusions that I have. And also it showed that, for example, where is the priority zone that we could distinguish, like in each cities, which areas that need more investment than others. So after I made all these statistical analysis and calculations and models, I need then to present my finding on a maps. So different map has been created. First, I don't know if it's clear here. So first, from the first map is to see, okay, without any calculation, without any analysis, where are our NbS, and what is the types that are dominate for each cities. As can be seen that Amsterdam, for example, and Rotterdam dominate by green roof, but Utrecht has like fewer number of green roof. But this is not because actually Utrecht has fewer number of green roof, but I try to get the data from the municipalities, but I failed to obtain it. But also there is like obvious more investment of permeable pavement on Utrecht, for example, than other cities, if you compare them together. And here I just try to present like to see, okay, how is the social and economical index divided through the cities, like through the neighborhoods of each cities. What are actually what neighborhoods that has lowest SES index, what has the highest, what has the moderate score. And I because I live in Utrecht, I know that the social economical state SES is low in Canal Island, which is in Canal Zout, I think it's called. So yeah, just to check that I have a logical numbers, because I have these. I calculate the SES, and it didn't use the ready SES index. And here I take this from Climate Atlas, and to present the heat exposure distribution between neighborhoods, and also the pluvial floods probabilities, also from Climate Atlas, between which is the probability of having 50 centimeter and more. And as can be seen here, for example, in Utrecht, the neighborhoods that has lowest SES has also highest probability of floods. And here, just I divide them, and use the names that just to make sure to make easier, just to explain to the reader in my thesis. Okay, what's going in the north of the Netherlands? What's going in the south, in the new west, and what I mean with the new west, like what the new Westport, for example. So these are not official by municipalities, I think, but they are used in some articles I read in the online. So I just use the same here, and just to make sure that when I, for example, talk about Zuidwest, what is Zuidwest I'm talking about? What's the boundary of it? So, for example, here, this map shows one of the things that the natural-based solution, one of the indicators that I obtain, which is the natural-based solution total area, and show that, for example, as we can see here, for example, in Amsterdam, the Zuidoost has a lot of low NbS. We don't have a lot of NbS area in this area. And keep this information because we will compare when we calculate priority index. And the others map actually show the other indicators. For example, here NbS per capita and NbS density. And then I calculate the overall priority index. And we would expect that what we see in NbS to be seen here, and actually it is here, because as can be seen here, these areas, Zuid of Utrecht, has also high priorities. We expected that because we already know that there is lower numbers of NbS implemented here, and the same is in Utrecht and Rotterdam. And then I create what I called top 50 high priority neighborhoods, which is I ask myself, okay, now the municipalities would like to know from where we can start. Okay, this is the top 50 overall priorities that need a lot of investment to implement NbS. And these are top 50, but like for flood priorities index. So if you are, okay, heat stress, to me, it's not any priorities, but I would like to focus on areas that really suffer from flood problems. So I create one for floods and one for heat. And then I said, okay, these are the top 25 that are robust across all scenarios. So if you are focusing on whatever if you are focusing on floods or heat, or overall, this is the 25 that are appear on all scenarios that I have created. Sorry. So the main result that I have is that there is NbS distribution is highly uneven across neighborhoods from social equity aspect, and I think there is what I call what the literature review called Matthew effects, which served area keep receiving more and more, and underserved area receive almost nothing, and also there is a barrier to entry which I think appear because if for example, if you have an investment in one area, it's easier to invest more in that area because there is already an investment. There is already the starting point there. And also there is actually the distribution of NbS is strategic. So we see that in areas that suffer from flood and heat, we see that relatively more NbS than areas that has no heat and floods. So there is strategic, but it is not. There is the equity issue is appear here. And when we compare, for example, heat mitigation NbS and flood mitigation NbS, we see that there is a strong alignment with hotspot area, where in flood mitigation NbS we have weaker alignment due to technical limitation, because the NbS implemented, the type of NbS that targeting or handling pluvial floods are much more area. And I think basically it's more expensive and need a lot of design and planning and permits. So it's much easier, for example, to put a green roof or to implement a green roof than implementing, for example, a water square or bioswales, or like if you do or wadis, for example, in a certain part of the cities. And when as indicated before, that Amsterdam show most balanced and equitable. Rotterdam's many pioneer projects, but higher unmet needs and inequalities. Utrecht become in the middle because it has high per capita NbS, but still notable priority area. And the last thing is that the no regret investment zone is, I think it's a good starting point for municipalities if they would like to handle the NbS implementation from they would like to fit the needs for the or would like to handle the inequality not equitable unequitable problem of NbS distribution. So this is in conclusion. I found that inner cities area rely on vertical NbS like green roof. The outer district use large ground level NbS, and that's understandable because there is less area in the inner cities areas. Also that climate vulnerability is the strongest driver for NbS, and per capita privilege resist high SES neighborhoods get more NbS. There is a clear Matthew effect. And again, Amsterdam show most balanced citywide distribution. Rotterdam and Utrecht strong flagship projects, but less consistent equity across neighborhoods. So this is again, I'm trying to focus on the main points, and there is actually, when I'm doing my research, I ask myself and my supervisors why there is no national NbS database across all Netherlands that because actually it's not easy to get the data. The data was really hard to get, and you need a lot of communication, a lot of emails to be sent, calling people, trying to find reliable data. And ClimateScan actually provide part of the data, but it is still a citizen science to have to make the things are to have more what we say a more to have that data across the whole Netherlands, and that allow to researchers to study this more scientifically. I think if we have if there is a national NbS data sets, it will make easier for researchers, and the municipalities also will move from ad hoc NbS implementation to opportunistic and equitable NbS distribution. So thank you all for listening to me. That was my presentation, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
Nice. Well done, Bara. Yeah. Shall I give the floor to Joe or Sydney? Of course, I had my share of questions. I can.
Yeah, I've not so
Yeah.
much question. That was fabulous, Bara. Thank you. I mean, this is a massive problem in England, the environmental injustice thing. We are terribly guilty of investing in posher areas with a higher social status. It's a terrible problem, and in fact, it's about to get worse because our current governments are in this massive focus on building houses, and nobody's building any houses. So they're going, oh, what do we do? So now their new suggestion is what they call densification. So if a developer owns a piece of land and has planning permission to develop that piece of land, they should put more houses on the space, which means that the first thing to be sacrificed will be the nature-based solutions if we're not very careful. And there's a big army of people fighting back and saying, just because these people are buying cheaper houses and these are less wealthy people doesn't mean they deserve to live in less beautiful places. But it's a battle, and I'm afraid that in England particularly, it's going the wrong way. We're actually moving towards having beautiful developments with 5-bedroomed houses with huge suds, waddies and suds ponds, and for the rich people, but the poor people will be pushed to live in dense developments with multiple occupancy buildings with no green space at all. So to look at your maps of social status and greening is absolutely fascinating. And if you also, the map with the flood risk is also interesting for me, because I remember being in a meeting a very long time ago where we were talking about flood risk and a new development, and the risk of flooding was high, but they were still going to go ahead and build there because they were building low value properties and they thought that was fine. And it's tough. It's tough. Our politics are rubbish. You're better.
Yes, the thing is that first of all, natural base, there is actually I think it's much cheaper to build in a places or in areas or ports or neighborhoods that suffer from or has high probability of floods. I think so, because nobody would like to live there, for example, or nobody would like to invest there. So I think that the value of the land will not be high. That's the reason I think they would prefer to build there. But anyway, there is always a solution, like middle ground solution. I think because we have a green roof and green walls doesn't really need a lot of investment, and sooner or later, like you will have, for example, if you build in an area that suffer from floods. Okay, now people living there, so they would suffer from floods multiple times, and then eventually you would, as a government or whatever, the municipalities, you will end up to the end point. You will need to deal with it. You need to have a solution to it. So, I mean, planning from the start really save a lot of cost later. That's my point.
Yes, and your point about heat and flooding is that whole climate change story, isn't it? What effects is climate change going to have on our cities, and how can we start to mitigate those effects now before they become a problem? And the heat thing's really interesting, because we never used to have to worry about heat in England, but now we do.
Yeah, it's getting higher on the agenda in all over the world. Yeah, and especially coming. I would love to do this for London as well, and I think Bara would like that too. There's and again, suffering from not having all the data, governments not providing the data, and of course this is broader. It's private, but also public. different measures. This is a selection of measures, mostly flooding related, but also green, so also heat, and of course drought is one of the things as well. So I think it's a very nice method that you've done, and really not because there have been some projects, but not a lot because it's a dangerous topic as well. For politics, I mean. And I think that you now have a method that you pinpoint what kind of neighborhoods could have more attention. And as you said, I was a bit of joking in the beginning, like, what is the best city? And rightfully, we have quite similar scores, right? If you do this in the global south, cities like Dhaka, with that will be totally different, of course. But I think this is really good advice, and also the advice that the data is scarce and that we have to do more. And there's so many things that we could, buttons that we could turn. It would be, it's quite nice to develop this further as well on this strong basis that you made. Yeah.
Do you think that?
Yeah. Sorry,
Do you
Joe.
think?
Yeah.
Do you think that the municipalities will embrace the maps that show the priority areas? Do you think they will be interested to learn where their priority areas are for future investment?
Yes.
Good.
I can answer that. I can, yeah.
From a municipality point of view,
yeah,
Sydney.
yeah.
From
Nijmegen.
No,
I'm just gonna take this angle to
yeah.
break in discussion, because yes, I think it's really great. This is we're already trying to do this, but we didn't do, of course, this kind of analysis in depth, and especially we didn't do it together with the SES. We are doing like the thing with the vulnerability for heat and flooding, and are basing a lot of our programs on that. And of course, we have these other maps and put them together. But what I really like is that you bring these, like you said, you're from a technical background, but you bring the social aspect to it and combine them in a numerical way, which allows to really clarify what is happening. Which we kind of know this, like for the examples that Joe said, we have also have this in the Netherlands, but we don't know how much it is and where it is, and you are showing that. I really like that part, and also the part that you here show that in the areas where already are investments or high investment probabilities, that there are the places that get the most NbS, for instance, and that's what we're seeing everywhere. And well, we as a municipality are trying to turn it around. We are trying to bring the investments for climate adaptation solely based on where do we think it's needed, and not where is a project going to happen, and then take that opportunity. I think you also called it a window of opportunity or something like that, and then make the adaptation. And we're trying to do it the other way around. Actually, we're trying to plan it on maps. Where do we want the adaptations? And then if there are projects for investments, then they can hitch along in our projects, but that takes time. And I got a question, because in the beginning, this was really interesting to me. You said this the approach with the neighborhoods of the buurten and the wijken is the right approach. But you said maybe a little bit about it, but I didn't really hear the explanation, because like you say, if you take different areas, then you will get different results. And what I always like about these neighborhoods in cities, you have one here, if you've got a really big one, those often show for one data point, for a thing you research, they can really jump out, like they score really bad or really high. And we've got one area here in Nijmegen, and it's called Nijmegen North, which is like 1/3 of the whole city, and it always jumps out on something. But I think that's due to the area. So I was wondering that you still said, well, this is a great approach to use the neighborhoods. And I was wondering, why do you think that's it's still a great approach?
Yeah, thank you for your question. Actually, it's valuable. Let me just try as much as possible not to talk about the technical thing and statistic, but it is a great opportunity to talk about it. So the area problem, the spatial area problem is a well-known area by well-known problem by researchers, that and most researchers handle it well. And what actually we do, what I did actually in my research, let me talk about my research here. So after I choose, first why I choose neighborhoods. Well, first thing is that I noticed that the CBS platform provide information in a board spatial units. And I think well, I asked my colleagues and people that I know what in the planning what's the spatial unit they use, and they told me that's the board, the neighborhoods, and the Vike. I don't know what's the exact translation to the Vike. So okay, then if I use them, then I would talk with we are talking the same language. So with the municipalities.
Yeah.
This is the first thing. That's why I choose them. And the data that I have already divided by board and by VACs and by provinces. That make my work a bit easier. And then when I did the analysis, one using board and one using Vike, and then I compare between them. Then I solve the somehow I not solve them. I would say I provide more confident to my results. Let me say this. So I'm confident, or I have confident that if after I compare the small unit spatial units with the big spatial units, and for example, if you compare, for example, Zuidwest, for example, with and you if you include, for example, Vike, and this, for example, Zuidwest is a Vike as a spatial unit, and then you repeat the analysis, and you find that, for example, Canal Island is still is an area that need investment. Then you know it's not a matter of area, it's spatial area units. It's a matter of real need there exists.
Oh, sorry, can you repeat the last?
So it's not a matter of it's not
Of
a
area,
but it is a real need there. Like there is a real need for a natural based solution.
Yeah. So basically, what you're saying is if you choose different areas, if you compare them, you still get approximately the same result.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And then you know that you chose the right spatial division. Yeah. Okay. That's great to hear. That's really nice because, like you said, it's always a problem everywhere if you do spatial analysis. But it's nice that there is a fit on it. Okay. Well, cool.
And do you think, Bara, or did you get any feedback from others that would say, because it's quite easy to try to find the loopholes, right? So one thing I heard is, well, if in rich neighborhoods there's more space, therefore it's easier to implement nature-based solutions, for example. Yeah? I do not agree. I'm just putting it. What do you think? Yeah.
Well, I don't agree because, for example, Amsterdam is a crowded city. It has I don't think like a lot of neighborhoods that are suffering from climate problems and I mean from heat problem and flood problem. But what Amsterdam did differently than others, I think, I'm not sure that they provide a subsidy for green roof in a certain period of time. And my results actually indicate that small projects are more effective than big projects.
Yeah.
So because you are implementing green roof, and I hope the thing is, imagine that if they and they are not by the way, they I think how when I read about it, they did not provide subsidy for all boerten in the Amsterdam, but they choose like certain areas. I think these areas suffer from great danger, and then they provide the subsidy for it.
Oh.
Yeah.
And even the way they provide the subsidy, I didn't like it because they say to the people, okay, you pay, for example, 80% from that's what I understand. And then they will provide you with like small amount, then you pay 80%, and we will see if the 80% has been implemented, then we return your money. So maybe, for example, for a person that don't have 80% of the cost to pay, he will say, okay, I don't need the subsidy because what I will get from building a green roof on my apartment, maybe maybe he don't have the money, or they don't have the capacity to do such a thing, like the financial capacity. I'm talking about it. But still, it is effective. It show that my data show that it is effective. It show that, for example, overall, Amsterdam did better than other cities. And that's what I was trying to say. For example, small projects such as green walls, green roof, it's effective, despite it has a low effectiveness compared to other natural-based solution, but it is effective. It do the work that it is needed, and it gives the beauty, like.
Yeah, you also get here well, maybe it also kind of shows the opportunity that there is with how do you say it, the particulieren, the people themselves that implementing things on their roof. We always have this problem that we have like the public space and we want to do a lot there, but one of the main chances to actually provide climate adaptation is with green roofs, but those are not in the hands of the government directly. And so we actually have areas here where we would like to have like 50%, 60% green roof, but there are not the roofs of the municipality. So we try to push everything in the public space, and that's, yeah, like you said, it might be less effective in some areas because you actually have this great opportunity on all these roofs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
That's the things. If for example, subsidies work if they, for example, let's say that Utrecht decide today that we will subsidize people to build on their roof in Canal Island. So it will be much more effective solution than say, okay, no, we would like to make a flagship project here in Canal Island to solve the problem. And I think it will cost less. I don't have the numbers that I can defend this claim, but I think it would cost less. And also there is the thing, because you will not need to empty an area and then build infrastructure, and then it change a lot of things in the city. And also there is if someone say, okay, but the roof's already crowded with, for example, solar panels, then we have green walls. Green walls also give beauty to the cities, and also a solution.
Yeah, and there are even green roofs that you can make with shadow-loving plants. So even with if it's not too dense with solar panels or anything, there are even opportunities right there.
Yeah, and actually, all cities have subsidized programs for green roofs, but it's mostly how they utilize them. So there's been a research on the subsidy. It's also, you can have it, but you have to, spread the word, and also in some neighborhoods, maybe in different languages. And so that's the target. But all cities do have programs to stimulate. But it's really how they utilize them and how they're used. So well, really nice. And are there any wishes, Bara? Suppose, of course, this is always a stressful research, and you have to come up with a lot of results. If you would do it the next time for a different city, let's say Nijmegen, would there be things that you would do differently?
Yes, I would use different approach. I would use, for example, green areas instead of NbS, just to make things easier from the data points.
Yeah.
And I will compare, for example, I would introduce, for example, an AI detection. So if we detect natural-based solution using AI and compare, for example, if we have, like, for example, in Nijmegen, if we have already well-built what they call it, data platform, then we can compare what the AI can do, and then it will introduce us with it will validate if the AI can actually help us in this field of study, if he can detect these to prepare national base, for example, natural-based solution data set for the whole city.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it's a great perspective ID. I know that there have been some studies. Now there's one project with AI to look for bioswales. And it seems quite, exactly. Just started. And it seems very simple. It's basically a ditch in the ground, but not every ditch in the ground is a bioswale. And also for green roofs with Universiteit Utrecht, that's going to be a climate cafe in the future as well. You can have remote sensing. in this case. With bioswales, it would be the digital elevation maps that you use. But from even satellite photos, it's really hard to distinguish
Yeah,
what
I
is a
think it's
green
really
roof or
hard.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
we have
we should get there.
yeah, we actually
Absolutely.
have a kind.
Yeah.
I think a lot of municipalities have it, but we have a data set for green, and it provides the what we say infiltration, voorzieningen, infiltration
Yeah, facilities. Yeah,
facilities. Yes,
biofiltration.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Not specifically biofiltration, but it provides a lot of information. But that's just like one type of NBS or maybe two that's there. So it will always be a problem if the data, like you said, is not available. And I think this really helps to spread the word because I speak to many municipalities and myself and other colleagues of me also want to make these data sets. But it does matter which NBS you are looking at, and also one city focuses a little bit on this one and the other one a little bit on it. So unfortunately, the data sets will probably never be 100% comparable, but we can do a lot to make it more comparable. Yeah.
Yeah, and when is it enough, right? I think
Yeah, of course.
you used so Bara used the data set of Rotterdam, Utrecht, and Amsterdam. I think we're talking about a total of 2,000 points. So that's
Yeah.
quite already impressive. I don't
It's
think
really
there are a lot of
impressive.
cities that actually have that open source
Yeah.
so many points. Like London has not more than 500, which is already a great job. But it's really hard to get
Yeah.
this data. And
Well,
then
and make it open source
yeah.
because, like you said, Barry,
Yeah.
you had to call a lot around, send a lot of emails. I think that's the thing that we can do as municipalities. We're also partly obligated to do it, not totally, but if we have data sets, a lot of them can be made public, especially for NBS because they don't pose any risk or something. Like there's discussion on should you put your whole sewer system online or not. But for NBS, that's the case. So if you have the data set, so if other municipalities are listening and you don't have it open source yet,
Yeah.
make it open source.
Yeah. And
For
that's actually
Bara.
the GWSW, for example, where
Yeah.
RioNet is working with. Because the database climate scan is not only citizen science, there are some municipalities that actually make the connection with climate scan to import their database, but it's very rare.
Yeah.
And I can relate that it's difficult and there's a long way to go there. But yeah, and there's yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I have checked all the data that I take from climate scans. 99% they are correct because I went using Google Maps. I went to each area and see like is it, for example, when there is when the climate scan say, for example, in this area there is a green roof. So I went to the same point in Google Maps and see if I know there is differences between times, but I try my best. I found like 99% what's exists in climate scan exists actually on the ground.
Yeah, but those are the right positive. But what about the false negatives?
False negative was mainly because he labeled it, for example, not correctly. For example, he's saying a green roof, but it is not a green roof. It's something else. It's something else. It's wadi or something. And also the location. He say, for example, he choose the location he choose the wrong location. So there is a green roof in the area, but the one he what's that mailed put in the
Map?
choose
Yeah.
made the one he choose to say, like, for example, these the coordinates for it, it's wrong. So it's a matter of wrong coordinates. It's not matter. It's not exist anymore. And I think there is like 1 or 2 cases where like I couldn't find it from.
No, but yeah, no.
yeah.
I mean, actually, where that's with the thing with climate scan. I'm a fan of it, but if it's not on climate scan, doesn't mean it isn't there, and that's what I mean with those kind of false negatives. So if it's on climate scan, it's probably correct, but if it's not on climate scan, then it can still be there, and that's a
Yes.
problem for data comparison because then you might say that one area is really bad, right? While it might be really good. Of course,
Exactly.
you can check that a little bit, but but that would be hard.
For example, this is
Yeah.
the case in Utrecht. I try to get the
Yeah.
data for green roof. I
Yeah.
don't think that this is right. There is so little green roof in Utrecht. I think there is much more because I can see I know the city and I can, for example, most of the bus stops, for example, at least most bus stops has implement
Yeah.
the green roof technology. And a lot of neighborhoods, a lot of houses use also implement green roof. But I try my best to get the data, and I reach to dead end with the municipalities.
It would be a
Yeah.
nice project, Flores, if like using the AI technology for trying to make a data set for green roofs, because
Yeah.
you do have the location where's a roof. You
Yeah.
always know if there's a roof or not, and then you can see if it's green or not. That's actually well, we're
Yeah.
just philosophizing about the future studies, but those kind of things,
Yeah.
like you said, Bara, that would be helpful if you have
Yeah.
more IE tools to check if the NbS are there or are correct. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we come to a closing, but maybe on that note, because also your pain is our pain, Bara, not having a data set, and maybe I can show you this, because in the meanwhile, if we're gonna research this more, so this is the 1,000 locations. It was actually more than I thought. So if we go to Utrecht, indeed, so these are all the points, but there is a layer with green roofs in the Netherlands actually now. So there are more green roofs. So if we want to do, and also in Amsterdam, of course, and Rotterdam, so it's constantly adding things, and these layers, of course, they're not all verified, as you say. 99% in the database is actually there, so they need to be verified. But you can see that there's a lot more green roofs indeed, and this is not all of them. So if it's not on the map, it's not here. But I still think comparing cities with so large numbers,
Yeah.
and my hands would ache to do Nijmegen, because that's yeah, let's see, Nijmegen, just to give a compliment here. 1,500 projects, that would be amazing to do it here as well. It's best, yeah, the best there is, so to say. So that would
Yeah,
be
but that's actually quite interesting now that we don't see that much green roofs now in Nijmegen.
no.
Oh, can you put it on again? Oh, no, I mean on the
Oh,
climate scan, you see?
yeah,
Yeah,
indeed.
I'm sure there are many more.
You
Yeah.
should be embarrassed, Sydney. But we're gonna
Well,
discuss
yeah,
that next time.
yeah, oh yeah, I should map them, of course. Yeah, I should map them. That's the problem. Yeah.
I
You're
think
right, actually. Yeah.
I think we accomplished something, Bara,
Yeah,
from your
I'm still
research to
more
motivate
interested.
Sydney.
Yeah, I should shift my focus, and I will talk to Antal about it to stop
Yeah,
mapping bioswales. We're
Yeah.
going for the green roofs.
Green
Yeah.
roof,
Okay.
yay.
Yeah. No, that's a nice
Amazing.
conclusion. More green
Yeah.
roofs.
More green
Yeah.
roofs.
Thanks a lot, Bara, for
Thank you,
presenting
Bara. That
this.
was
This
fabulous.
really good. And,
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I hope we can work in the future as well. And then, we have these notes to share. So for the next week, Sydney, we're going, I know, Rijkswaterstaat. So National Water Authority has a big program. 2 years ago, they were 225 years old. As protecting the Netherlands from flooding. So that's really impressive. And to celebrate that, they invited about 8 universities and applied universities with 8 PhD students that actually do work to ensure that another 225 years will go on the safe Netherlands and on different topics. And next week it will be the place of Rui and Cheyenne from Rijksuniversiteit Groningen and Hanse. And the week after, 2 other PhD students will tell about their work and their vision to help Rijkswaterstaat to have a safe Netherlands for another 200 or 300 years. So that's exciting as well. So I hope
Good.
everybody's enjoyed this and also the next week. So hopefully see you then. Thanks a
All right.
lot.
You take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.